As a general rule, nobody really likes making mistakes, but there is a part of me that does in fact like making mistakes because I get to own up to them afterwards, and my mistake from last week was actually
trusting the media to accurately report the news.
Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and this vlog is a follow-up to one of my vlogs from last week, so like Borat, there is going to be a follow-up to the Borat, and hopefully my follow-up vlog is not going to be worse than the original. Last week, Sacha Baron Cohen released the sequel to Borat called Borat 2, but the big news of the week was not the release of the movie, but a scene in the movie featuring Rudy Giuliani that just made the headlines everywhere. The scene was described as being scandalous. Rudy Giuliani in a hotel room with an underage person with his hands down his pants. If you had seen the headlines across the board, you would have had no doubt as to what actually occurred in that scene. I'm going to show you some headlines, then I'm going to show you an excerpt from my vlog from last week just to set the context before we actually walk through this scene so that you can see how the media has played everybody. From BuzzFeed. So the most controversial scene in the movie is definitely when 24-year-old actor Maria Bakalova, who plays Borat's 15-year-old daughter, interviews Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's 76-year-old lawyer. This already has all of the hallmarks of a scandal, but let's just see what the news says happened in that scene. After they wrap up the interview, Rudy and Maria go into the hotel bedroom. The attorney removes her mic, pats her on the waist, and asks her for her phone number and address. Then he lets her take his mic off. He leans back on the bed and seemingly puts his hands down his pants. You will notice, especially after having watched the impugned scene, which we are going to do and dissect, that technically speaking, every word in that description is accurate, except that description in and of itself, in its entirety, given all the innuendo, is totally inaccurate. And it gets worse. Playing Borat, Sacha created a playful video to mockingly defend Rudy. He said, quote, "What was an innocent sexy time encounter between a consenting man and my daughter have been turned into something disgusting by fake news media." And Sacha Baron Cohen doesn't stop there. He goes on to double down on his exploiting of the situation to market his film by misrepresenting what actually happened and says the following. During an interview with Good Morning America, Sacha said, quote, "I would say that if the president's lawyer found what he did there appropriate behavior, then heaven knows what he's done with other female journalists in hotel rooms. I just urge everyone to watch the movie. It is what it is. He did what he did, and make up your own mind. It was pretty clear to us." And just in case some of you are not fully appreciating what Sacha Baron Cohen is doing right now, he is exploiting of purported social justice in order to promote his movie, which itself is the most egregious violator of all social justice norms. Sacha Baron Cohen is not only exploiting of other people in his movie, he is exploiting of the idea of social justice in order to promote this movie and urge people to go see this movie as though this scene represents anything of social justice. And I've got to tell you, in my limited life experience, when someone says when referencing their own conduct, it is what it is, they have resigned themselves to their own conduct. And I am getting hot. I have made myself angry. This movie has made me angry. Now, in fairness to BuzzFeed, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but in fairness to BuzzFeed, they did in fact include Rudy Giuliani's explanation of what happened in that article. Now, it's important to note that Rudy claims he was just lying on the bed and sticking his hand down his pants in order to tuck in his shirt. And a tweet from Rudy Giuliani. 1. Borat video is a complete fabrication. I was tucking in my shirt after taking off the recording equipment. At no time before, during, or after this interview was I ever inappropriate. If Sacha Baron Cohen implies otherwise, he is a stone-cold liar. And how did the media, both national and international, report on the scene from this movie? From The Wrap, Rudy Giuliani caught with, quote, hand down his pants, end quote, in Borat sequel. Early reviews of, quote, Borat's subsequent movie film, end quote, tell a different story than Giuliani did in July. All right, one of multiple Viva from the future intervening to correct the vlog in the past. At the time, Giuliani said he thought he was giving an interview to a reporter to discuss President Trump's response to the My Sharon Osiris Shman Shmendrik. What ends up happening is a guy in a pink bikini or something busts into the room during the interview while Giuliani is removing his mic. He didn't know who the person was despite being a Borat fan, and he called the police. That was Giuliani's recounting of what happened at the time. From Vanity Fair, Rudy Giuliani claims Borat scene with his hands down his pants is, quote, a complete fabrication, end quote. The president's lawyer insists Sacha Baron Cohen set him up because of his relentless work exposing Joe Biden. And of course, they had to use the most flattering picture they could find. From Forbes, Giuliani reportedly caught with his hand in his pants in new Borat film. And of course, they had to use the most flattering picture they could find. From Al Jazeera, new Borat film shows Rudy Giuliani with his hands in his pants. New Borat film released Friday shows Rudy Giuliani in a compromising position, but ex-New York City mayor calls video, quote, a complete fabrication. And from the Times of Israel, Giuliani seen with hand in pants in new Borat film hotel bedroom scene. Ex-New York mayor filmed in an ostensibly compromising position with young actress pretending to be TV journalist, an encounter that led to him calling police. He calls it, quote, a hit job. In preparing my vlog on the subject, however, I did not just rely on the headlines. I relied on an Associated Press detailed description of what allegedly occurred in that scene. And instead of repeating myself, I'm just going to include that clip from my initial vlog, which you should watch if you haven't already seen it. I'm going to link it right here. Now, I have not seen the movie, I have not seen the scene in particular, but according to the news, the scene is being described as follows. Rudy Giuliani caught in hotel bedroom scene in new Borat film. Former New York mayor captured in hidden camera in final moments of mockumentary. Rudy Giuliani is featured in a new mockumentary by comedian Sacha Baron Cohen in a scene in which the former New York mayor is shown with his hands down his pants. Shot in a New York hotel room in July, the scene, which is part of the sequel to Cohen's hit movie Borat, resulted in Giuliani calling the police. The scene culminates in a moment with Giuliani lying on a bed with his shirt untucked while an actress posing as a journalist stands nearby. Giuliani went to the hotel room thinking he was being interviewed about US President Donald Trump's COVID-19 response. In the film, the young woman invites him to the bedroom, which is rigged with hidden cameras. Giuliani then asks for her phone number and address. He lies back on the bed with his hands in his pants. When the story broke, people immediately took to Twitter to show their moral outrage, to show how morally superior they were than the person caught in the headlines. And reading all of this moral outrage, for a second I thought the person was underage, and when I found out the person wasn't underage, I thought Giuliani was cheating on his wife. In verifying on the internet, I found out that Giuliani had in fact finalized his third divorce from his third wife back in December, and at the time was not married, although even that would be none of my business. The only thing I was wondering is, how do people manage to keep getting caught by Sacha Baron Cohen, until I read the description of what happened, and then it became clear that it was just Giuliani apparently thinking he was going to get lucky with a young journalist. Not something I would do personally, but I am not out there to play morality police for everybody around me. What two consenting adults decide to do among themselves, to the extent that it's legal and doesn't hurt anybody else, is none of my business. I then watched the sequel, and I don't just say this to say this. I literally watched it not because I wanted to, but out of necessity, just to see how accurate the description of that scene was, how bad that scene was. And after I saw that scene in that movie,
I cannot trust the news anymore.
Sorry for screaming, but we're going to go watch the original scene. We're going to watch as little of it as possible so I can get the point across without infringing on anybody's copyright. But after having watched the scene or all the material parts, you're going to realize how badly everyone was duped by the media. Alright, and despite the fact that I used maybe less than 2 minutes of the entire movie to show you what went on in that scene for the purposes of this commentary, which I think qualifies as fair use, my video was claimed on YouTube, and I'll be damned if I'm going to put a video up on YouTube to make more money for Sacha Baron Cohen. So I'm removing the scene from this vlog. If you want to see the scene for yourselves, I'll link one right here. It's something you can find on YouTube. Sorry, it's going to be a little harder to appreciate this analysis, but go watch the scene, come back to this vlog, and then let me know what you think. So that is the scene, and how now, after having seen that scene, would you say it compares to the media description of that scene? It is true that in the movie she's supposed to be Borat's daughter, but in that scene she was playing a reporter. There was nothing to indicate to anyone that she was supposed to be underage, and not to be mean to Maria, but she doesn't look anything underage. She is depicting herself as an Eastern European reporter with an entire crew, an entire setup in a hotel, conducting an interview, drinking alcohol. To suggest that Giuliani thought, knew, or had any inkling that she was supposed to be underage when she wasn't even in fact underage in reality,
it's beyond dishonest.
And there are a few more subtle and far more insidious forms of manipulation going on in this scene. The most obvious of which is that it was in fact her that was being extremely touchy-feely with Rudy Giuliani multiple times just to get him to do it in return, so they can then frame him and say he was the one touching her.
You're so funny. I'm so sorry for that. Really apologize.
Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Alright, Viva from the future again, and I think I've accidentally just pulled off 10 on 10 sleuthing when she says, shall we have a drink in the bedroom? And that, by the way, is overlaid audio, and I'm going to get to that in a second in this vlog. But she says that, and then you see Giuliani walking alone into the bedroom, except at the last second, you can see a reflection sort of past the glass window to the bedroom. I actually think there was some deliberate editing to remove her from the frame as Giuliani walks to the bedroom so that you no longer see that she was actually leading him into the bedroom. And just to prove my point, I'm going to play it frame by frame extremely slowly so you can see, sort of, behind Giuliani, there seems to be a silhouette of Maria leading him to the bedroom that seems to have been edited out so that it looks like Giuliani is walking alone to the bedroom.
Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Am I seeing things, or am I going crazy, or is it a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B? Back to the vlog. But yes, it is true that Rudy Giuliani pats her on the hip, and what the reporters and everyone reporting on this failed to disclose or failed to give for context is that she, as a reporter, thought that she had already blown the interview. She was apologizing profusely in the movie after Borat, the person playing her father, came in, and she thought he ruined the interview, so she was apologizing to Rudy for having ruined the interview, and Rudy was just trying to reassure her that she had not ruined the interview, that she was doing very well. Now, I happen to be of the opinion that you do keep your hands to yourselves. You can't get into trouble if you keep your own hands in your own pockets, but you do keep your own hands to your own self. That being said, I was in a minor fender bender about 2 weeks ago, where I accidentally bumped into a motorcycle at a gas station. The bike fell over, I got out of the car, I was totally frazzled, and as I'm apologizing to the people, the guy, a big burly guy with leather gloves, puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Don't worry about it," and it was actually very comforting, and that was sort of the impression I got from what Giuliani was doing in this scene. There is the old expression, "Honi soit qui mal y pense," shame on the person who thinks ill of something innocent, and I might be inclined to say, shame on everyone who thought that Giuliani was being an old pervert when he tapped her on the hip to say that she was doing a good job. And how did Giuliani get into the bedroom in the first place? Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be as sinister as it was depicted in the movie, and this is why. Just rewatch that part.
Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Anybody who is familiar with editing can detect audio that was added in post, that is to say, audio that was overlaid in post-editing. And the "let's go into the bedroom" was clearly added after the fact and was not part of the original audio.
Shall we have a drink in the bedroom? Shall we have a drink in the bedroom? Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
What happened?
If you pay attention to it, you will notice various audio bits that were clearly overlaid after the fact, and then add to that replaying certain scenes multiple times to give you the impression that the scene lasted longer than it did. Add to that negative, sinister underlying music that makes you think something dirty, something awful is going on here. Sacha Baron Cohen is literally manipulating the viewer into character assassination, so he can have his stupid gag at the expense of Rudy Giuliani to promote the film through controversy while invoking social justice issues to do so. Most people will never even watch the movie to know how badly they were lied to by the media, and what really drives me crazy is that the media either saw the movie and then depicted the scene in the way they did strictly to sell clicks, or they didn't see the scene and depicted it the way they did just to sell clicks. But they were misleading the people for whatever the reason, knowing that half of them would never see it to know that they were duped in the first place and would just keep repeating the lie, and the other half, once they saw it, well, the damage was already done. The moral of the story, at the very least for me, I really cannot trust anything I read in the news myself. I have to go verify myself before I come to any conclusions, and if I make a mistake, I sure as sugar am going to come back and correct it. And with that said, if you like my videos and like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm.
Feed me Seymour.
If you want to support the channel, all of these support links are in the pinned comment. We've got PayPal, Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube membership. We've got merch, but more important than any of that, take care of yourselves, check in on friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well, and now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah.